So, how do you get started in property investment? One of the most frequently asked questions we get all the time, and in this video I want to share with you some of the thoughts, the points and things you need to consider and also look out for before you get started in property investment. So, before we get started, please like, subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you're always notified when we put out our vlogs, our podcasts, these sort of value-based training videos and some other bonus content around property investment and business. So let's get straight into it. My name is Collins Isaiah. I'm the founder of Procured Property, a London-based property investment firm that specializes in residential buy-to-let properties. So let's get into it. So the first thing you need to do before you look at properties or go on any viewings or whatever people do before they get into property is get yourself educated and deep dive into the space. Right, get yourself educated. There's a lot of free material out there, in fact, that you can familiarize yourself with before you get into property. We're going to be posting more and more content like this, so this will be a very good platform for you to get yourself educated within property investment, that is. But more specifically, deep dive into the space. So what do I mean by that? Fully immerse yourself within property. Soak up all the information, get the books, subscribe to the podcast, join the Facebook groups, join the networking events, literally consume property investment, go on viewings. Now, I don't advise this to waste anybody's time. Do not waste the estate agency's time. But look, hey, it's part of your journey, it's part of your experience. And just really get yourself immersed in the space so that you're familiar and it's a good starting point for most people. Yeah? So educate yourself, deep dive into the space and really immerse yourself within property. Right, the next thing is ascertain your goals. And what I mean by that is work out what are you looking to achieve from property investment. Right, what are your financial goals, right? What's the objective? Why are you getting into property? And why property? There are so many investment vehicles out there, right? It's kind of a convoluted world, the investment space, but specifically with property, grab a paper and pen. If it's by yourself, brilliant. If it's with a partner, sit down with them and work out what is it you're looking to achieve. What are your financial objectives? So for most people, when they're investing in property, they're either looking to achieve a few different things. It's either building up a pension pot, right? So that they can sack the day job at some point, or even let's say they enjoy the things that they're doing. At least they've got that kind of security, independent security that is, or financial independence. For some people, it's to ensure that the family position is secure, right? Or legacy, right? Making sure the kids are looked after. They've got something to give back, something to leave behind before they pass on. For some people, it's a lifestyle, right? They want to invest into property so they can pay for a certain lifestyle or even sustain or improve a lifestyle. Some people, it's simply to build up wealth, right? Or preserve the wealth, right? You might be in a position where you're quite financially independent or secure, so you might want to preserve your wealth through property. As we know at the moment, this is, June 2021, interest rates are next to nothing, so leaving your cash in the bank is not a good use of money. This isn't financial advice, it's just the reality of the situation. The smart money is going into investable assets that are appreciating over time and with the bonus of giving you an income whilst it appreciates. So really work out exactly what you're looking to achieve. What are your financial objectives? Is it a pension pot? Is it family? Secure the legacy? Is it a lifestyle? Is it wealth preservation? We've had a client, for example, a doctor, I've been a doctor for about 20 odd years, and the main objective for them when they spoke to us had a very good six-figure salary for about 20 odd years, 15, 20 years. So it wasn't necessarily about income, it wasn't about They lived, within their means. What they wanted to do was actually leave the practice the guy was working for, and take his skills over to Nepal so he could set up a pop-up hospital, right, or pop-up sort of health center. But what he needed was enough income coming in, right, from his portfolio, which is what we are helping him doing at the moment. So that was very interesting as a client, but also as a person, to get that perspective. So whatever it is for you, really work out what is it that you're looking to achieve. And it's normally a few things, right? And it's very simple. Grab a paper and pen. Is it income or is it growth you're looking for? Is it a little bit of both? And when you've got that, look under the hood. What does that mean, income or growth? And it usually is a couple of these things. So step 2, without rambling on, is really work out exactly what you want to achieve from property, and write it down, break it down, and go to the next step. So the next step is, what resources do you have available to get started? So what available capital do you have, right, or resources, right? So really sort of ascertain your position in terms of how much capital or funds or deposit do you have saved or set aside. What is your credit position? Are you credit worthy? There are so many apps at the moment that can help you build up your credit, and also you can find out what your credit is. I use ClearScore, you can use Experian, you can use various different apps and platform portals to find that out. So find out what's your credit position. Can you raise finance through a mortgage? What do you have available to start off with? Now, why this is important, because it will give you an idea of what part of the market can you enter, right? Now, what we say as a company, and also as an individual, very straightforward. If you've got about 20 to 30,000 pounds, that gives you access to the majority of the property market. Now, of course, it doesn't give you access to central London, but it does give you access to the majority of the English property market. And if you've got a very good credit history, so it doesn't have to be particularly incredible, but what it has to be, it shouldn't have any adverse history, such as CCJs, bankruptcies, or whatever it may be. And on top of that, what's a very nice note to have as well is, if you own your current residential home. Now, why is that important? A lot of lenders like that. So lenders being the mortgage company that will provide you the loan to purchase the property, right? Or the other part of the purchase. Now, why do they like that? Is they just like the idea that you own your own home already, right? Now, you can be a first-time property investor or first-time purchaser, that's a buy-to-let. It just means the rates might be slightly different for you, and you don't have access to the whole lending market. Now, best thing to do is also just speak with a mortgage broker. They can qualify your position and understand what you can do and what you can't do. And speak to a mortgage broker that has access to the majority of the lending market. So, what resources are you starting off with? How much do you have available? That will give you an idea of also, first and foremost, what market you can enter into, and what property strategy, which we're going to go into next, you can start off with. So if you've got 20 to 30,000 pounds, you're not going to go into a £500,000 development, right? You might want to start off with maybe a couple of buy-to-lets, right? Small projects where you're purchasing, very small refurb, and then you look to refinance down the line. Or, for example, are you going to buy cash in some parts of the northeast where you can buy a property for less than £40,000? Trust me, there are places out there. Or are you going to use the standard route, which is a 25% deposit and you're raising 75% through a loan or a mortgage? So work out your resources. How much do you have saved? What's your credit position? Now, do you own your own home? I think you can work that out quite easily. Not important, but it adds to your profile in the eyes of a lender. And note it down, and that will allow you to go on to the next thing, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So, step 3, what strategy are you going to apply. So I'm just looking down at the notes, making sure I'm not rambling. So what strategy are you going to apply? So first and foremost, you've got yourself educated. You've immersed yourself into property. You're living and breathing it. The next thing is you've ascertained your goals. You're now looking at what you want to do, what you want to achieve, why you want to achieve it, how are you going to achieve it, what you're currently doing to achieving it. And then you've worked out what you have to start off with. What do you have available to you to now execute on that goal or the financial objective that you've got, you've prepared? Now, what strategy are you going to pursue? Now, this is dependent on what you want to achieve and what resources you're starting off with. So there'll be some strategies you might pursue which will be cash flow friendly. There's some strategies you might pursue which is your capital will grow over time, and it's a lot more steady. There's some that are high risk, some are medium risk, some are low risk, relatively low risk. For an individual that's starting off, a very good place to start off is buy-to-let. But this isn't the video to go through what it is and why you should do it. But this gives you an idea of the strategies that are available to you. You've got buy-to-let, where you're buying a property and renting it out. You've got buying, refurbing, and then refinancing, or renting and refinancing, whichever one you want to you want to put in front of each other. You've got buying and then a small refurb or big refurb and selling on, right? Those are the key, real sort of foundational strategies. You do have other strategies that complement that. You've got HMOs, which is a very popular strategy at the moment, but there are requirements to get into it. There are lending restrictions if you're just starting off. It's a little bit of a, something that you're going to have to, well, it's more time intensive. You can get management around that, but there's fees around that. But this isn't the video to go through what it is, but it gives you an idea. What is your strategy, right? It's about what can you do with the resources you have, and is it in line with the goal that you put in mind? So if you've got a paper and pen, note this structure down. Okay, what strategy do you want to pursue? And these things, once you go into, I'll do a later video on these things in depth, it will give you an idea of how it will support your objectives. So the HMO normally carries a higher cash flow. So if you're looking for income, that might be something you want to pursue. If you're looking to steadily grow a portfolio over time and increase your wealth whilst being paid along the way, you've got buy-to-let, and then you've got some of these other things that allow you to recycle your cash quite aggressively and grow your cash pot as opposed to cash flow. So work out your strategy. Now, once you've worked out your strategy, you want to understand the team, right? You're going to need a team, right? Anything you do, whether it's a business, raising a family, whatever it may be, that was an extreme example. Whether you're working in employment, you need to have the right team in place, and more specifically in property, right? So work out who do you need, right, to execute on this massive plan or this fantastic plan that you put together, right? So are you going to need solicitors? What type of solicitors? Get yourself solicitors that are trained in property law. You want to get a very, very good mortgage broker, someone that can get you preferential rates, but they have access to the whole market. You want to get yourself a very good accountant, right, to manage your finances, to manage your portfolio as you grow, right? Perhaps maybe you want to get yourself a good broker or a property investment company, for example. Right? These two are linked together. Might be a estate agent, right? Build that network. How are you going to get access to these properties? How are you going to get access to these opportunities? Right? How are you going to get access to the best opportunities? That's more specific. So work out the team that you need, right? You're going to need a lettings agent, right? What does that look like, right? Finding yourself the best one in the area to make sure this whole investment journey is as passive as it can be. And there's a few other people along the way, right, you want to build, but just really map it out, right? It might be a family member here as well, someone that can attend viewings for you or look at site visits or research properties for you, right? Really work out, or a friend, doesn't have to be a family member. Work out who do you need. I've given you some examples here, but you might want to add some or take away some. So work out the team that you need to execute on this plan. And lastly, execute. take action, take the first step. Stop sitting on the fence. This is something that a lot of people do, right? They do all the research. They speak to the mortgage broker, they speak to whoever they need to speak to gather the information before they get started, and before you know it, they actually haven't done anything, and a year has passed and they've missed out a lot of growth. They've missed out on a lot of growth and the opportunities that's passed along that year. So take action. Once you've got enough information, you're never going to have all the information and you're never going to have the full picture. And what we always say is stop trying to time the market and just get in the market, sit in the market and see your returns over time. So stop procrastinating, sitting on the fence, take action, execute. And that's the last step into how to get into property investment. So without further ado, I hope you found that of value. Went through a few points today, but really, if you're just tuning in, maybe you skipped to the end, rewind, go back to the beginning, grab a paper and pen, take note of these things because it will help you become financially independent over time. So I've been Colin Zazaya, and our mantra is invest with confidence and engineer your future. I'll see you guys in another video. And one last thing, before I go, the media team's going to kill me. Please smash that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It helps us with the algorithms and all this sort of coding stuff behind the scenes to grow and reach more people so we can help more people. See you guys soon.